Michael Jordan is arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. So why did he go third overall in the 1984 NBA entry draft? Let's find out. What is up, everybody? Jacob Durant here with Amateur Hour Sports, where we give you raw and unfiltered sporting content Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So if it is your first time here with me today and you like what you see, make sure you subscribe to Amateur Hour Sports for more content just like this. So as I said, I'm going to go through the 1984 NBA entry draft, look at the first two picks and how on earth they could have gone ahead of Michael Jordan in the draft. Obviously, it was Hakeem Olajuwon and Sam Bowie who got drafted before him that year. Make sure you stick around until the end of the video to see the secret that Sam Bowie kept from the NBA, which got him drafted ahead of Michael Jordan. So, Hakeem Olajuwon went to the Rockets first overall, Sam Bowie to the Portland Trail Blazers second overall, and Michael Jordan to the Chicago Bulls with the third overall pick. Let's start with that first pick. Hakeem the Dream. This was by no means a bad pick. He was the 93-94 NBA MVP. He won 2 NBA championships in which he was the finals MVP in both of those championships. He is the all-time NBA leader in blocks. He's one of the sauciest big men to ever play the game, and he's a Hall of Famer. Leading up to the draft, nobody could have foreseen what Michael Jordan would have become. Hakeem averaged 16.8 points, 13.5 and a whopping 5.6 blocks per game in his junior year at the University of Houston, where he did get that team to the national championship game. And at the time, the NBA was dominated by big men. You had the 76ers, who won a couple years prior with Moses Malone, the chairman of the boards, as the finals MVP. You had the Lakers with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was still kicking around, and others like Mark Eaton on the Utah Jazz. The NBA was a big league. The bigs ran the league. The best teams had the best bigs. That's the way it was at the time. The real stigma that you had to be tall to play basketball was much more of a thing at the time than it is today, though still present. It was inconceivable that a guard would be able to carry your team to an NBA championship. If Houston could redraft that year, they may still take Hakeem Olajuwon. If Michael Jordan was in charge of Houston's pick for that draft, he probably would have also taken Hakeem Olajuwon. We cannot knock that pick. Like the literal logo for the NBA, Jerry West, didn't win a championship until the latter stages of his career, until LA acquired a proper big man for him to play with. I mean, Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, two of the greats, played together and never won a chip until finally Jerry West got a big. So again, can't knock that pick. What we can knock is the second overall pick, Sam Bowie. Maybe slightly. 7'1" center Sam Bowie to the Portland Trail Blazers with the second pick. And let's not get it wrong, Sam Bowie was a good player. Some people may not even have heard of Sam Bowie in 2020, but here's how it goes. The Indiana Pacers finished tied for dead last in the NBA with the Houston Rockets. The Portland Trail Blazers, who had drafted Clyde Drexler the year before, knew that they had a special player in Clyde the Glide on their team, and they wanted to get a proper big man to play with him and look towards the future with those two. The best way to get a big to build up with Drexler was through the draft, and knowing that Indiana had a 50-50 chance at the number 1 pick in the draft where they could get Hakeem Olajuwon, they traded for Indiana's pick in the draft before the lottery. However, the lottery this year was a mere coin toss, and the winner of the coin toss between Houston and now Portland got the first overall pick, and Portland lost the coin toss. So Houston got Hakeem Olajuwon. So Portland gambled for that pick and ultimately lost the gamble. So they had the second pick, and sure, Michael Jordan was good, but Clyde Drexler was also a shooting guard, and there was no need to have 2 shooting guards on your team. And even though Clyde Drexler only averaged 7.7 points per game in his first season in the NBA, it was clear that Clyde Drexler would become Clyde the Glide and one of the NBA's greats in the rest of his career. Portland had their hands tied. They needed a center, and if they couldn't have Hakeem Olajuwon, they elected to get Sam Bowie. And this is regarded as one of the worst picks in NBA history. But Let's rewind a little bit on Sam Bowie. Why did he go second? Bowie became a hot prospect in high school. He had great playmaking for a big and wasn't shy of a highlight reel dunker alley-oop slam. But there were already hints of his fragility even in high school, as he really had to work on reducing the amount of stress and the toll taken on his ankles and knees even in high school. If you find some clips of him in high school, you can see him really laboring to get up and down the court. Yet still he got a scholarship with the University of Kentucky. After a fruitful rookie season of averaging 13 points per game and 8 rebounds per game, the future looked bright for Sam Bowie. The downfall came in his sophomore season. In that season, he averaged 17 points per game and 9 rebounds per game, improving from his rookie season, and it seemed like a star was emerging. But near the end of the season, Bowie came down awkwardly on his left leg after a dunk in which he landed with a straight leg, and that caused a fracture in his tibia, though he didn't know it at the time, and he played through that injury for the rest of the season en route to a second consecutive early exit from the NCAA tournament for the University of Kentucky. The initial diagnosis of the injury was that it was simply shin splints, which is why he continued to play on it for the rest of the season. Playing on it made it much worse, and it was discovered at the end of the season that it was in fact a fractured left tibia, an injury that would affect Bowie for the rest of his career. The injury was so bad that it caused him to miss the entirety of the next season. He ended up spending 44 weeks in a cast. At the end of those 44 weeks, it was discovered that the left tibia did not heal as it was supposed to, and he was forced to have surgery on the tibia to repair it. You may think now, why did Portland draft such an injury-prone player? The injury kept him out for 2 years, his junior year and his senior year. But with the NCAA's permission, he was allowed to be redshirted for one of those seasons. So he got back a year of his eligibility. So in his 5th year of school, he got to play in his 3rd season of basketball with Kentucky. In this season, he played every single game for the school, putting up 10.5 points per game, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Another good season for Sam Bowie, as his great play helped get Kentucky to the Final Four, where they ultimately lost the game to the eventual champions Georgetown, who were led by Patrick Ewing. So the indication was that the injury was a one-time thing, and that Sam Bowie could go on to become an all-star NBA center. So Portland drafting a potential all-star NBA center to play with a future Hall of Famer shooting guard Clyde Drexler, that doesn't sound like a bad pick at all. But here's the secret you don't know about Sam Bowie. In a physical leading up to the draft, Sam Bowie had his left tibia tested, the same tibia that did not heal properly after its fracture. Doctors at the physical let the weight of a mallet strike Bowie's left tibia, asking how he felt. And even though Sam Bowie felt excruciating pain with the simple tap of the mallet, he claimed that he could feel nothing and that he was completely healthy. So the physical confirmed to Portland that the injury was a one-time thing, giving them the green light to draft Bowie with the 2nd overall pick. Bowie himself knew on draft night that he was physically unequipped to play in the NBA. But Portland already had the green light, and they selected him with the 2nd overall pick in the 1984 NBA entry draft. And initially, it did seem like a one-time thing. In his rookie season, he averaged 10 points per game, 8.6 rebounds, and a whopping 2.7 blocks per game in a season in which he featured 76 times. Bowie later confirmed that he was playing in pain that entire season. He was hiding his fragilities from the Portland medical team. It did not seem like there was anything wrong with Bowie after that rookie season. Obviously, it's no Michael Jordan damn near 30 points per game rookie season, but it was a good rookie season. Then in season 2, it all went wrong. Bowie broke his left leg midway through the 2nd season, but this was after Michael Jordan had a fracture in his foot that kept him out for what seemed like would have been the rest of the season, though it didn't, and it was almost a career-ending injury. So injuries happen, right? It happened to Michael Jordan then, it happened to Bowie after Michael Jordan, so he'd recover and get back on in the NBA. But they kept happening for Bowie, and in his 3rd season in the NBA, he fractured his right leg, his other leg, 5 games into his season. Recovering from this injury, he missed the rest of that season and the entirety of the next season. When he came back for his 4th season in his 5th year as an NBA player, he got a hairline fracture in his left tibia by merely walking around in a warm-up for a game. This kept him out for the remainder of the season, in which he only featured 20 games. After only 63 games in 4 years, Portland were done with Bowie. As Michael Jordan blossomed into the league's best player, Portland shipped away Bowie to the New Jersey Nets. At this time, Portland may have been filled with large regrets. I will add that Bowie became a serviceable big with the Nets for 3 years after the trade. Though he did fall off a little bit in his 4th season, he got traded to the Lakers where he spent 2 years in obscurity, not really producing, before he retired in 94-95. A year after Michael Jordan retired his first time after three-peating with the Chicago Bulls. So after all that, we can see why Portland made the decision that they did, drafting 7'1" center Sam Bowie. Factors beyond their knowledge was the reason they took Bowie. They needed a center. That's what they took. Sam Bowie looked like he could have been an all-star, and injuries plagued that from happening and ultimately turned into a bit of a bust. As for Bowie, think about it from his standpoint. If he had admitted his injuries before the draft, it would have definitely hurt his draft stock, and he could have lost millions from that draft. He lied and got money playing in the NBA, and that ultimately set him up for life. Would you have not done the same thing? Sure, it was selfish, but I know that if I was put in the exact same scenario, hell yeah, I'm telling the fucking doctors I didn't feel shit. I'm getting drafted early on in the NBA and I'm getting my paycheck. He will go down as one of the worst picks in NBA history, but let's not blame Portland for that pick because there were some uncontrollable factors that they didn't know about. And let's not blame Sam Bowie because he wanted to get his money, and that's ultimately what anybody would have done if they were him. What we can blame Portland for is drafting Greg Oden ahead of Kevin Durant in the 2007 draft. Now that was a bad pick. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like the video if you liked it and subscribe to Amateur Hour Sports for more content just like this. As well, hit that notification bell. We post 4 times a week. Stay up to date with all future episodes. At the end of the day, I believe what I say, and if you disagree, that is okay. We will see you again next time.